Emotions. Ooh, that's quite an interesting one. Does anybody take their emotions to work? Yeah, well, one or two. I don't believe the rest of you. Because we all take our emotion to work. We might just be very good at suppressing it. Yes? And when we suppress our emotion, little things like leakage happen, don't they? Yeah? So we've got to be mindful of those things. So look, a whole bunch of things here, yeah, make people difficult. And it's very hard to put people in buckets or into boxes, isn't it? Yeah? But look, we understand that oftentimes one of the major things that impacts people is the behaviours, the things that are very visible, our day-to-day interactions with people, how we communicate, how we talk. And already I heard some really, really good examples of how sometimes communication, not listening, was a good example, or how we speak a different language. This is all maybe according to our own habits, our own habitual behaviour. And those habits, that habitual behaviour, can often get in our way.
So I mentioned a bit earlier on about not forcing projects into unrealistic shapes and natural shapes. I think a lesson that I've personally learned from the project is not to just try to apply a one-size-fits-all thing within a project. So quite often when I've sort of set agile projects up, I've gone, right, what's the right size of a time box for this project? Oh, it's about 4 weeks. And then every time box is 4 weeks. And now with hindsight, I realise that was a slightly dumb strategy. A very dumb strategy. Because it violates the other learning, it forces to think. There's nothing that says that once you set a time box, it has to be 4 weeks for every single time box. Some of them might need to be 6, some of them can be 2. Don't fall into the trap of thinking it's the same all the way through the project. You kind of mentally know it's going to be different across projects, but I'll wager that most of you, if you're following time boxes, have the same amount of time boxes in every single time box in your project. Why? Where does it say you do that?
Now, principle number 3, embracing different views. I feel in the Agile sort of community and some of the information you get, there is some oversimplification of certain things. And one of the problem areas I have with Agile, I haven't got a complete problem with it, but how many of you, just to show of hands, have heard of the concept of the product owner? The product owner, okay, most of it. Now, I've got a problem with that because a single view is very attractive to, say, the IT department, for example. Very attractive, but it's also a single point of failure. And the fact of the matter is, on a project, different departments, different people in the department, different levels, different views, we're going to see it all a bit differently. So if we must go in a list of requirements, you know, one person's must is another person's actually irrelevant, not even a could. So what do we do about this? And the answer that I believe, if you really want to get on with it, is to accept it, it's a fact of life, deal with it, take it head on. And this idea of, say, taking one voice of the truth, I find a little bit tricky. So get it all out in the open, you know, be very clear what the project's all about. The first 2 things that David said about golden rules, I think the second one was, you know, what's the project about? Getting off to a good start. Because if you get off to a good start, you can, you know, it's a lot easier with things like the requirements. So many problems are caused by a slightly vague project objective. Like we want a seamless and fully efficient and highly effective, high level of quality and low cost experience for the customer. Yeah, what's that project about? You know, but trust me, I'm not making that up. So there are many ways to create a consensus, and this is why DSDM advocates the use of facilitated workshops. The reason why Jules was battling on quite valiantly there is I think she's been in a few quite intensive workshops, and these workshops are collaborating on lots of views and getting them out in the open, playing it back, discussing, and I'm all in for all the noise. I often say to people, if you took your business reps and you put them in a van and drove them up to John O'Groats and left them there, your project's going to go a lot quicker. It's going to be a lot easier, isn't it? But what's going to happen after it goes live? You're suddenly going to realise it's not quite the fit we had. This is why I'm saying the product owner could represent a bit of a problem. More about that in a moment. But the big tip I'm saying is, if there's lots of noise, lots of different views, don't stifle it, don't shut it down, don't marginalise it, don't go, you know, literally don't use democracy, don't go, sorry, biggest vote wins. You need to get consensus, you need to get everybody on the same page.